Mhm. Hello, Michael. No, the number you have. Hello, Michael.
Hi, bro.
Yeah, I've made you a presenter, so you can start sharing your screen. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you played some advert first.
All right, I'll do that. But I've just made you a presenter, so when it's time, you can start
Okay.
sharing your screen.
All
Okay.
right, no problem. Okay, I'm on standby.
Yeah, because Hello, guys. Thank you. Mr. Michael, are you here?
Yes, very well. So I take it over here.
Yeah. Michael, your sound is not coming, so kindly stop sharing. And then when you are about to start sharing, there's a place that you can see. Michael?
Yes.
Your sound, we can't hear the sound, so you can stop sharing and start sharing again. But this time around, you go to the down there, there's a place that says sound, and then you enable that. So you make the sound come. So you can start sharing your screen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so you look at the down, you see, yeah, the sound sign, yeah. So you enable that.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm going to play a short video from Sophos, and right after that, we will answer some few questions. Here we go.
Right now, you're vulnerable to cyber criminals, and the odds are it's your own fault. We're going to show you why. Throughout our journey across New York City, we'll be offering up a variety of wireless hotspots, named things like Get Online or free public Wi-Fi. Now, the equipment to do this is surprisingly lightweight. Just a couple of computers, a mobile hotspot, and a wireless network adapter. And we'll be using this to demonstrate how you are making life easy for cyber criminals. Here we are in JFK Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. Now, it's hard to conceive of a place with dense wireless traffic, with all around us thousands of people looking for a wireless hotspot to get online, check their email, or apply their latest social media update. In fact, just right here, I'm seeing 31 different wireless networks. Now, some of them are just numbers and letters randomly generated. Others look like printers, and some of them profess to offer free internet. What's really interesting is we've all become experts at quickly scanning this list to pick out the one that's most likely to get us online. Now, this is a bit of a trust indicator, but in reality, this is just a bit of text that anyone can type in and pretend to be anyone else they'd like to be. That's exactly what we're going to be exploiting in our journey in New York City. During our hour and a half at the airport, 391 people connected to our hotspots. That's several hundred potential victims. Now we've driven over to Brooklyn, and on the way we've been offering up our various hotspots. So far we've managed to snare 768 users into connecting. But one of the hotspots in particular is extremely concerning. This particular hotspot requires credit card details in order to get online.
Michael, just forget about
now we're
that.
charging about $2 for
just forget about it. Just play a video, forget about that. I'll take care of it.
We're not actually taking the money. But 109 users happily handed their credit card details over to a complete stranger, a company they've no idea about. In this case, me. Now, we're being ethical in this experiment, but imagine for a moment we weren't. If we were to take just $100 from those 109 people, that would be $11,000 for just a few hours' work. It's easy to see how careless behaviors of users are constantly lining the pockets of cybercriminals. So you, or one of your employees, connects to a wireless network. What's the big deal? I mean, we all do it. The problem is, when you connect to a wireless network, you're handing over authority on where your info goes on the internet to the owner of that device. Which means if you request a website, they're in a position to modify it or serve you a fake copy. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'm using a copy of the Social Engineering Toolkit to create a clone of a very popular website. Now, this could be a website where you have to hand over information like credit card details, a login to a work email, or anything else. In this case, on this particular website, I'm using an SSL certificate, so there's the recognizable padlock that all users know to trust. All that really says is your information is encrypted on the way to the cybercriminal, me. Now I'm going to just log in here with my normal username and password, and immediately on the attacker's screen, we can see my login and password over here. So this shows us exactly it's critical to make sure you're protecting yourself all the time. Over the last couple of days, we've toured New York City, offering up our wireless hotspots, named the likes of Free Public Wi-Fi or Get Online. During that period, 2,341 people have connected to our various networks, with a little over 54% of them being mobile devices. As well as that, 109 people were happy to hand over their credit card information to a complete stranger. And there were over 800 page requests to websites that were infected and distributing nasty malicious code. For more compelling data from our study, see our white paper right here.
All right, so for the benefit of those who are joining us right now, I may have to replay this video one more time, and then we can proceed.
Right now, you're vulnerable to cybercriminals, and the odds are it's your own fault. We're going to show you why. Throughout our journey across New York City, we'll be offering up a variety of wireless hotspots, named things like Get Online or Free Public Wi-Fi. Now, the equipment to do this is surprisingly lightweight. Just a couple of computers, a mobile hotspot, and a wireless network adapter. And we'll be using this to demonstrate how you are making life easy for cybercriminals. Here we are in JFK Airport, busiest airport in the world. Now, it's hard to conceive of a place that has more dense wireless traffic, with all around us thousands of people looking for a wireless hotspot to get online, check their email, or apply their latest social media update. In fact, just right here, I'm seeing 31 different wireless networks. Now, some of them are just numbers and letters randomly generated. Others look like printers, and some of them profess to offer free internet. What's really interesting is we've all become experts at quickly scanning this list to pick out the one that's most likely to get us online. Now, this is a bit of a trust indicator, but in reality, this is just a bit of text that anyone can type in and pretend to be anyone else they'd like to be. That's exactly what we're going to be exploiting in our journey in New York City. During our hour and a half at the airport, 391 pitted to our hotspots. Several hundred potential victims. We've been offering up various hotspots. So far, snare 768 users interconnecting. But one of the hotspots in particular is extremely convenient. This particular hotspot requires credit card details in order to get online. Now, we're charging about $2 for 24 hours access. Of course, in this case, we're not actually taking the money. But 109 users happily handed their credit card details over to a complete stranger, a company they've no idea about. In this case, me. Now, we're being ethical in this experiment, but imagine for a moment we weren't. If we were to take just $100 from those 109 people, that would be $11,000 for just 2 hours work. Easy to see how careless behaviors of users are constantly lining the pocket of cybercriminals. So you, or one of your employees, connects to a wireless network. What's the big deal? I mean, we all do it. The problem is, when you connect to a wireless network, you're handing over authority on where your information goes on the internet to the owner of that device. Which means if you request a website, they're in a position to modify it or serve you a fake copy. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'm using a copy of the Social Engineering Toolkit to create a clone of a very popular website. Now, this could be a website where you have to hand over information like credit card details, a login to a work, email, or anything else. In this case, on this particular website, I'm using an SSL certificate, so there's the recognizable padlock that all users know to trust. All that really says is your information is encrypted on the way to the cybercriminal, me. Now I'm going to just log in here with my normal username and password, and immediately on the attacker's screen, we can see my login and password over here. So this shows us exactly why it's critical to make sure you're protecting yourself all the time. Over the last couple of days, we've toured New York offering up our wireless hotspots, named the likes of Free Public Wi-Fi or Get Online. During that period, 2,341 people have connected to our various networks, with a little over 54% of them being mobile devices. As well as that, 109 people were happy to hand over their credit card information to a complete stranger. And there were over 800 page requests to websites that were infected and distributing nasty malicious code. For more compelling data from our study, see our white paper right here.
All right, let's look at the quiz now. The first question: what is the best method for protecting yourself on public Wi-Fi? What is the best method for protecting yourself on a public Wi-Fi? First, connect to a password-protected network. Avoid paying for Wi-Fi hotspot access. Disable automatic Wi-Fi connection. Use a virtual private network service. All of the above. Any answer? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Egbert? Mr.
All of the above.
Okay.
all of the above, I doubt if that's a correct answer, but let's move forward. True or false? A wireless network can modify your request or serve a fake copy of the website that you requested. A wireless network can change your request or serve a fake copy of your site you requested. Is that true or false?
True.
Okay. Which one is a legitimate Wi-Fi network? Which one of the following is a legitimate Wi-Fi network? Free Wi-Fi, BLQ8N, secure hotspot, Get Online, and then the last one is not possible to determine based on the network name alone. Which one is the correct answer, please?
The last one. It's not possible to determine.
All right, thank you. And then the last but not the least, last but one, true or false? If a website displays a padlock in the address bar, it is safe and can be trusted. If a website displays a padlock in the address bar, like we see up here, stay safe, it is safe and can be trusted. Is it true or false? Yes, Egbert?
That's true.
Okay. I doubt that
false.
answer though, but let's move forward. Come again, please.
I said that's false.
Yes, that is false. And the last one, When you connect to a wireless network, you hand over authority on where your information goes on the internet to the owner of the device. When you connect to a wireless network, you hand over authority on where your information goes on the internet to the owner of the device. Is that true or false?
True.
Okay, true. Before I complete the quiz, I want us to review the very first one. What is the best method for protecting yourself on the public Wi-Fi? Because I remember when we were playing the video, the gentleman said we should use a VPN service instead of all the above, because it is not safe to connect to a password protected network. Anybody can create that. So I want to change this and let's see how we did. Congratulations, bingo. All right. Thank you so much for giving the answers. Last week's seminar, we looked at how physical security and cyber security are linked. Today, we are going to look at why it is so important to do regular updates. And the very person who is going to help us to do this is one of our very own cybersecurity expert, Mr. Shafiu Abubakar, is going to give us a presentation on patch management. Thank you very much. My name is Michael Clotte. I'll give the baton to Mr. Shafiu Abubakar to take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir.
And congratulations, you've done marvelously well for handling this particular area. I like the confidence and the way you handle everything. By the way, today we are going to look at patch management, but it's not going to be a one-sided thing, but rather we're going to do it alongside the people in the house. I know due to the change of time and everything, I think that is why most people, we're still not here, but we're going to look at patch management as said Michael Clotte, but it's going to be something that we're all going to partake in. We're all going to contribute our quota to the presentation. We've always been presenting, we've always been saying things here, but as to whether whatever we've been telling people or whatever training that we've been conducting, people really understands whatever we're saying. It's also another thing. So it's good that sometimes we bring something like an open session whereby we try to take people's view, we try to take people's idea as to whatever we're going to do with the TIS, the Threat Intelligence Seminar. For the past few weeks, it has always been my voice coming up during this seminar, and it's due to one or two things, but going forward, we're hoping that from next week, we'll hear new voices as we've been doing. We'll allow most of our students, both the incoming, the new ones, and then the old ones, to come and then also teach us something as far as what they've been taught by South Africa is concerned. So without wasting my time on this, I'm going to be very quick with this presentation. As said, it's something that is going to be done around patch management or software updates, or whichever way you want to call it. It's going to be quick and it's going to be fast too. So you pardon me for that. So as we said, patch management is just a process of applying firmware and software updates to improve functionality, close security, vulnerability, and optimize performance. So these are the three things here. Is one, after updating the software, you ensure that there's absolute protection of that software, that the security side of it has been strengthened, and then the performance will also improve. So it is very important for you to always look at this, because it helps you, it helps the machine to function well, or it helps the software to function well. It helps it to be well protected against any other vulnerability or any other hole. And then the performance too is always at the top. So anytime you're using a software and there's an update to the software, don't think that, oh, because I've just updated my machine or updated my software or updated my phone just last month, today there is a new updates. Must I apply it? Must I pass it or stuff like that? No, I don't need it and stuff. You don't have to behave that way. Anytime there is a patch, you should try as much as you can to upgrade your software, even though the boss, Mr. Kwame, used to say whenever there's a patch or there's any updates to any, software or his phone or a phone operating system, he tries to wait so for some time, because sometimes those updates could come with another problem. So he waits whenever he's realized that after some few weeks, no one complained about him or her having any difficulty. After he has upgraded his software, then he can also apply his upgrade, or he can also upgrade his software phone, in that order. But all in all, it's good that whenever there's a patch, we try to seal the particular hole, because it comes as a result of research that has been done in the software, and I've realized that there is some problems with that particular software. Instead of writing a new one, they apply that patch to wherever those problems are, to be able to solve those holes in order not for any other person to take advantage of that. So it is to be the process of applying vendor issued updates to close security vulnerabilities and optimize the performance of software and devices. So patch management is sometimes considered a part of vulnerability management. So in practice, patch management is about balancing cybersecurity with the business operational needs. Hackers can exploit vulnerabilities in a company's environments to launch a cyber attack and spread malware. So vendors release updates called patches to fix these vulnerabilities. However, the patching process can interrupt workflow and create the downtime for business. So patch management aims to minimize that downtime by streamlining patch deployment. So that is basically on the definition of what a patch management is. So patch management creates a centralized process for applying new patches to IT assets. So these patches can improve security, enhance performance, and boost productivity. So patch is different. Patch management is also the difference. So the management is the process of you applying that patch to a vulnerability or to a software that you think is outdated or something of that sort. So to be able to do that, you have to put certain process, certain system in order, so that in applying those patches, it wouldn't affect your production, it wouldn't affect your business. Okay, so long as we want to have the best in terms of our machines and our softwares, we also think about the smooth running, smooth sailing of our businesses. So if there is any break, unnecessary break in your business, the chances of you losing more customers is very high. And as we all know, every business moves with the customer. So we try to balance the two, not to risk ourselves based on the fact that we have outdated softwares and what have you, and also not to lose customers. So we bring in the management of that patches, so that if there is any problem, we already have an outlined way of handling that. So we just go according to that. So that is what a patch management is. So security updates, security patches address specific security risk often by remediating a particular vulnerability. Hackers often targets up unpatched assets. So the failure to apply security updates can expose a company to security breaches. Example, in 2017, a WannaCry ransomware attack spread via a Microsoft Windows vulnerability for which a patch had not been issued. So we all know of this popular WannaCry ransomware attack that affected almost all the countries in the world, including some of the African countries and the rest. And per the research conducted, the investigations conducted after or during that attack, it was observed, it was they realized that the whole problem started from a Windows vulnerability, a Microsoft Windows vulnerability, which has been outdated, and the patch is not yet issued. So that is why every now and then you see Microsoft coming up with patches all over anytime because they don't want to expose companies to this kind of problem again. So cyber attacks networks, cyber criminals attacked networks where admins had neglected to apply the patch, infecting more than 200,000 computers in 150 countries. So as I said earlier, so features updates, some patches bring new features to apps and devices. So these updates can improve assets performance and user productivity. Importance. Why do we need patch management? Just to fix bugs. So bugs are just minor, fixing addresses minor issues in hardware or software. Typically, these issues don't cause security problem, but do not affect performance bugs. So we all know of bugs in the software, in our, how they call it, software and what have you. So mostly when a software is being written, a bug bounty or something of that sort is being conducted on those software to be able to see if there's any problem with the software. Or better still, whenever there is any problem with those softwares, this patch management will ensure that it has taken care of those problems. Minimizing downtime. So most companies, as I said earlier on, find IT impractical to downtime and apply every patches for every asset as soon as it is available. That is because patching requires downtime. Users must stop work, log out, and reboot the system to apply patches. So a formal patch management process allows organizations to prioritize critical updates so the company can gain the benefits of these patches with a minimal disruption to employee workflow. So managing the patch will ensure that everything is being put in the rightful place. Whenever a patch needs to be updated or applied, shouldn't be the time that would affect people's work. You understand? So if you don't have proper management of that, we could decide to apply patches anytime and it will affect the performance. So most companies treat patch management as a continuous life cycle. This, I think, okay, so I think something is missing here. Beg your pardon. Let me. Yeah. Let me just come. Okay. Let me see. Okay. A regulatory compliance under the regulations like the general GDPR regulations, the HIPAA, that's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards. That the PCI DSS. Companies must follow certain cybersecurity practices. Patch management can help organizations keep critical systems compliant with these mandates. The other time we talked about the GDPR laws or regulations that states that every single data that is being collected needs to be kept well. The intent, the reason for taking those data need to be explained to whoever data is going to be taken, and the duration of keeping that data also has to be clearly stated. So these are regulations that covers or that takes care of a particular area, especially the European zone area. So this patch management ensures that this laws ensures that every single organization should have an up-to-date software or system. Okay, so they don't want to expose people's personal information like your date of birth, your name, your bank card details, and what have you, to the outside world. They want your information to be well protected, so they ensure that companies should have up-to-date, system so that it will help in securing the people or their customers' data. So that is the main reason why we have this patch management to ensure a compliance to any regulations. So what is the life cycle for a patch management? So most companies treat patch management as a continuous life cycle. This is because vendors release new patches regularly. Companies' patching needs may change as IT's environment changes. So to outline a patch management best practices, that admins, end users should follow throughout the life cycle. Companies draft formal patch management policy. So the company should have a policy which first look at the asset management. So to keep tabs on IT resources, and the security team creates inventory of network assets like third-party applications, operating system, mobile devices, and remotes, and on-premises endpoints. So keeping an eye, keeping a 360 eye on the assets of the organizations. So those assets that organizations has, especially the IT assets, the softwares and what have you, needs to be well catered for, okay, so that there wouldn't be any, surprise or any unwanted intrusion or any unwanted attack. So whenever there is a problem with the software, we change it or we apply patches whenever there is available and the rest of the things. Patch monitoring. So once IT and security team have a complete asset inventory, they have records, they know the kind of asset they have within the organizations. They know that we have 10 computers here, we have this number of printers here, we have this, they all deployed them and they have a proper record of them and proper monitoring of those assets. The patch monitoring must also follow. So you always try to see if there is any problem, if there is anything, if there is any patch that has not been applied, if there is any vulnerability that is not taken care of, and the rest of the thing. So these are things that most organizations almost every now and then conduct a scan of their system, of their asset to realize, to see whichever asset is being exposed, if there is any problem with the asset, they take care of that. Patch prioritization. So you prioritize which one, which should I take first? So you make sure that, okay, based on the severity of the vulnerability, I'll handle this first before this, or based on the investment and the rest of the things within that particular asset. You know that, okay, let me take off this, let me take off this asset first, and then I'll come to the next one and the rest of the things. So prioritization is very important. Patch testing. So after you've applied the patch, you try to test it to see if there is any problem with that. If there isn't any, you know that now you're good to go. Patch deployment refers to both when and how patches are being deployed. So patching windows are usually set for times when few or no employee are working. So as we said earlier, patch documentation to ensure that patch compliance, IT and security team document the patching process, including test results, deployment results, and any asset that still needs to be patched. So you have a proper records, proper deployment system, proper testing system, and you write everything on paper. So if anyone is to come and then see, you know that, oh, this has been done, this has not been done, and the rest of the thing. So after all that we said, so what are some of the solutions that we can see? Okay, we can use to make sure that we always have our system in place. Because patch management is a complex life cycle, organizations often look for ways to streamline patching. Some businesses outsource the process entirely to manage service providers. So outside you give out that mandate a different firm to handle it. Companies that handle patching in-house use patch management software to automate much of the process. Most patch management softwares integrate with common OS operating system like Windows, Mac, and Linux. The software monitors assets for missing and available patches. Okay, if patches are available, patch management solution can automatically apply them in real time or on a set schedule. To save bandwidth, many solutions download patches to a central server and distribute them to the network asset from there. So some patch management softwares can also automate testing, documentations, and system rollback if a patch of self-implementation offers patch management features like asset inventory and automated patch deployments. Many endpoint detection and response solutions can also automatically install patches. Some organizations use unified endpoint management, UEM, platform to patch on-premises and remote devices. With automated patch management, organizations no longer need to manually monitor, approve, and apply every patch. This can reduce the number of critical patches that go unapplied because users can't find a convenient time to install them. So I think with this, we have come to the end of, or the end of the first part of this, presentation. As I stated earlier, today's presentation is going to be different, and it's going to be an open forum that we all share ideas, we all talk. So when we open the floor, like we are all talking and we're all sharing ideas. So we're going to open the floor. But before then, I'll use this opportunity to congratulate Other Dear Boys, Research Boys, for winning the National Science and Maths Quiz. And better luck for Achimota in the next time. So we've opened the floor. Anytime, anyone who has anything, contribution, anything to say, can just do that. Thank you very much.
All right, so I think I'll go first, and thank you for congratulating us for winning the Science and Maths Quiz. My question here is for patching. If you have the solution available, that's where you patch. When I say solution, what I mean is if the patch solution is available, that's where we apply patch. Now, what if you don't have the patch solution available? What then do you do? Let's say there's a vulnerability that has been released, and the vendor that created that software do not have the patch available at the moment. What then becomes of the organization whose systems may have been vulnerable? What will be the approach to try and minimize any kind of an attack, or to try and eliminate, if possible, any kind of attack that is likely to come towards them?
That's a good question. From my side, every single software is being designed by a particular vendor who has a sole responsibility of managing that particular software, and an organization kind of buy that software from those companies. So if there's a problem with the that particular software, and then the organization that's designed or that developed that particular software is not having any solution to that particular, hole that is in the system, I don't think at that point in time, because looking at the assets, the kind of investment that the company has made in its assets, and I know no company will want itself to be exposed to any harm or any danger, depending on the severity of that particular, or depending on how serious that hole is. If it is highly a serious sensitive asset, that if anyone is to lay his hands on, or if an intruder is to take over the particular asset, could cause the organization a lot of, damage, then I may say that organization can decide to halt on using that particular software, because continuing to use that software could cause the organization a lot of damage. The next thing, the second thing that I think the organization could do is to keep an eye on that particular hole, to make sure that every now and then they apply the kind of, any other solution that they have in terms of antivirus or something of that sort, to keep an eye on that particular hole, to make sure that they are monitoring any event that is happening in and around that software. By so doing, they could minimize the risk of that particular hole being exploited. So I think that is what I would say as far as this is concerned. If there's anything that boss could add to, I appreciate that.
I'll actually follow up with another question. So, what you said to some extent can hold, but to some extent it could also create a problem. So we have servers we call critical servers. And what we call them critical servers, what that means is that we can't afford to have those servers shut down. We can't afford for those servers not to work, because they probably are our main source of income. Those kind of servers, the moment we turn them down, we are going to, let's just take Netflix as an example. Netflix has servers that has the movies that customers stream on. So if Netflix main service that is supplying a particular region has been infected with some kind of malware, or not necessarily malware, but there's a vulnerability that is pending on that particular server, for instance, and the vendor that created that server doesn't have a patch yet, because they're still working on that, or it could have been a patch that just came out, the one that we normally do not know about, especially when we hear about it from zero-day patch is what I'm talking about. Sorry, zero-day vulnerability. Usually you don't know about it until you hear that cyber criminals are taking advantage of your application. And so now you learn about it and you're beginning to try and come up with a solution. If you don't have that yet and it's a critical server, your approach saying that you would have to shut it off, that is actually going to cause Netflix a lot of problem, because they can't afford to have their service being turned down. So the approach to this will be something we call the workaround. Workaround will be Netflix or the vendor who systems Netflix is using, even though they do not have the patch yet, they need to actually come up with like a workaround saying that, okay, since we don't have this yet, this is what you can do to minimize any kind of an attack. So let's say, because this particular patch is going to affect maybe XYZ, a direct contact from the internet may cause this issue to actually be a problem. So maybe build a firewall around that, and then make sure anything that is coming through that is being monitored. You know who's coming to it. You build in something that would make sure that anything that is going to those servers are being monitored. You still want those servers to be online so they can provide services to customers, but at the same time, you have an extra eye on it, making sure that they are not being attacked by any cyber criminal. It's just like not having an umbrella and it's raining. And let's say mostly for the dailies that probably have their hair done, it's raining and they don't have an umbrella. Usually you find them with either an handkerchief or their handbags or whatever, trying to make sure they are mitigating the effect that might cause their hair, right? That's a workaround. They don't have they probably walked out, didn't think it was going to rain, so they didn't pick up an umbrella. And while they just got out there, it started raining. Instead of allowing the rain to destroy the hair they have on. They probably might take out their handbag, or if they have a handkerchief or anything, just to hold it for now, because they don't have the umbrella, which is actually the correct solution to solve that problem. But because they don't have that, they're trying to mitigate the effect that the damage on the hair could actually get to. So they're trying to cover it up with something. So that is how we go around this. I intentionally asked this question because I wanted to know if people knew that even there's a possibility that a patch could not be available. Yes, there is. There's a possibility a patch could not be available when the attack occurs. And also when that happens, the next thing we do is we try to find a workaround. That way we can minimize the effect that could occur onto the device that we have.
All right, that's good. Even though I answered the question thinking that the organization already is working under a VPN and under a firewall, there's already firewall installed and everything is being protected. But even after that, there's still holes that could be taken care of. So that is indeed a good one. Well appreciated. Any other thing? Today I said it's an open day, so we'll have to talk. Kirk, what do you have for us?
I kind of joined the conversation a little bit late. Did we talk about scans, like how we even first of all identify the vulnerabilities that we have on our assets?
No, we didn't talk about that.
You didn't talk about that. Okay.
No,
all right.
We didn't
so
talk about that.
yeah, I mean, I can just elaborate on that. So,
right.
As Shafiu just presented on patches, then it means the conversation should start from vulnerability management. That's where the conversation should start from. And in vulnerability management, how you can even decide to even discuss on patching. First of all, the assets that you have in your environment, you need to run scans on them, periodic scans. And when I say assets, I'm talking about computers, printers, anything that has the capability of connecting to the internet is an asset. And obviously it's an asset because they are actually there to help you make money. So if it's a printer, you have a printer because there'll be times you have to print stuff that helps you to run your business. So definitely need to make money. If you have computer systems that you're using those things to actually work in order to actually make money. So everything that you have that is connected on a network that is actually helping your business to run is an asset. And all these assets that you have, they all have the tendency of being vulnerable. Even your cell phones that you have in your hands, they have the tendency of being vulnerable. This is why once every while, if it's an iPhone that you have, once every while you would actually receive a notification saying that you need to upgrade to the next operating system or to the next iOS that Apple has actually released. And if it's an Android, it's the same. Once every while you receive an update saying that you have to go ahead and then update it to the current version of the operating system that they have. This happens because somebody has made Apple aware that their current operating system has a bug. When I say has a bug, meaning they are not perfect. The guys who create the software are not perfect. They create a software with intention that everything works good. But over the years or over the months while the software has been created, there are cyber criminals who are always digging to find ways around a software that has been created. Think of it as you built a house that you're protecting important stuff that you have. Let's say it might be money, gold, that you have actually kept in one particular part of the house. And these guys know there is money in that house. But how to get to the money, they have to break the wall and try and get to it. So over time, they'll be digging around the house, trying to see if any part of the house has less work that they could do in order to try and break into the house. So they are always going around the house, trying to see if there is any part of the house that has like the least amount of, say, cement or the least amount of strength that they can break into, and then get into their house and then take whatever it is they're trying to take from you. So that is how these cyber criminals are always looking around to find an opportunity when they find one. So they'll be looking, they keep looking. So they keep looking, and then they find out that some part of the house, let's say the back of the house, the wood that was used in maybe protecting that back gate is getting old, it's getting weak. And so they can break into that one and then get into it. And the vendors, which is Apple, for instance, would also have their own people. So there are two things. They have their own people who are acting like criminals, trying to find weakness on their own network. This is what we call penetration testing. Or cyber criminals could be the one doing that. Now, when the cyber criminal finds that weakness first, that's what we call the 0 day, meaning that a cyber criminal found it first, took advantage of it before the vendor who created the whole thing found out. So we call that 0 day. If the guys working for the vendor, which is, let's say, Apple, for instance, are the ones that found out that there is a weakness within their network, and they report that to Apple, then Apple will work on that. So quickly they will get themselves a new gate, whatever, brand new, whatever, fix it. And then when they fix that, they would have to come to the public and tell the public, we have released a new version of our operating system. We have because, they probably might not explain, but they have because they noticed their old version had some kind of bug, and then they fixed it. So the new bug they fix will be the next version. So when they're releasing the next version is better than the old version. And they come out to the public to let everyone know that we've released a new version. If you as a customer do not conform to upgrade to the newest version that they have created, and you decide to keep the old one, if you get compromised, then it's up to you, it's your fault, because you did not actually align with the update that they brought up. So they would bring this up and then allow the public to actually download a new version, and then you get up to date. So this is why it is always good to make sure that you are keeping yourself up to date, because the moment you choose to keep the old operating system, whatever it is they found that they thought was the reason they had to upgrade it is still vulnerable to you. And if a cyber criminal decides to actually take advantage of the fact that there's a vulnerability on your asset, then Apple cannot be held responsible, because they've done their due diligence by making sure, first of all, they came up with a patch, they brought the new patch with a different version, and then they also made it public to everyone so you can download the new version to upgrade yourself. So this is why it is important that scanning will be where we start from. So we want to start scanning all the assets that we have. If you scan the assets that you have and it turns out that any of your assets is running an application that is vulnerable, then the next conversation becomes patching, which Shafi was just talking about. So first of all, you have to identify that your asset you're running has a vulnerability. And after identifying it has a vulnerability, you prioritize. You want to make sure which ones are very important, because you may not have all the time. Let's say you only have 5 hours a day to actually work on these machines. So when you find out that about 30,000 of your machines are vulnerable and you only have 5 hours to actually work these, you can't work all of them within that time frame. So what you will do is you select the ones that are very important, like critical servers, for instance. If you have critical servers that are also vulnerable, those ones become the ones you want to fix first, because those ones, if for any reason they get compromised and not working, your business will begin to lose money and management will not be happy with you. So those are the ones you want to pick first. You pick those ones first, and then that 5 hours you have, you fix those ones. And then another time, if you have more time, you pick the less important, then the less important, and then the less important. So that's where prioritization comes in. So you prioritize all the machines that you have, and then you begin to actually start patching them one after the other. So if Shafi said he didn't mention scanning, I wanted to make sure that that part is also included in this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boss, for throwing more light on patch management. Anything? Madam Janet.
Yes, Shafwi. I'm here.
What do you
All
have for
right.
us?
So, yeah, I'd like to say thank you for today's delivery and thank Michael for the introduction today. And then I'd like to also say thank you to everyone present here today. And of course, I'll have to say a word about Soft Afrique's cybersecurity class course. If you are a novice in IT or a novice in cybersecurity, you do not have to be perturbed. If you have interest or passion after this course, then Soft Afrique is your best option. You can reach us through our cybersecurity, through our networks, or hello. Sorry for that. You can contact us through our LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram platforms. Yes, the session happens every Wednesday, same time, same day. So we're expecting to see you all next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Madam Janet. Next week, we have Deborah Yeboah presenting. Next week, Deborah is going to take us through the presentation, and I hope to see all of you guys here. So thank you very much for your time. Again, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much, boss. So from here, we say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you too, sir. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Danny.